Welcome everyone. Once again, I am Greg Ferris, and again, if you're a MyoBrain client checking this out, you definitely know who I am. If you're a MyoBrain Education client or someone that just kind of found me from Instagram, something like that, thank you for joining me. So the topic we'll be discussing today is specifically for the CrossFit Open and kind of how you're going to periodize or cycle your carbohydrates during the week of the CrossFit Open, or kind of each week for the CrossFit Open. This is going to be the general outline we're going to go through, okay? So the first thing is obviously who should do this. So I'll kind of talk about who's it for, who's it not for, and you can make a decision whether this is something you should utilize or not. Like most things in nutrition or most things in physiology, there's not one size fits all. So for some people, this can be a game changer. For other people, you can stop watching the video after you watch this first part, okay? Second part is going to be my standard kind of approach to what to do with your carbohydrates. This is going to be assuming you're doing the workout one time per week, which again, is going to be majority of people that should be doing the workout once a week. Then there's going to be kind of the third section here, which is how you can cycle your carbohydrates if you plan on repeating the workout. So say it doing Friday and then doing it on Sunday or Monday, kind of what you can do. That's going to be a little bit different than just one time per week. And then fourth, kind of the pros and cons of doing this, right? There's an old saying, you can't have your cake and eat it too. So again, there's gonna be obviously some benefits from doing this carb cycling, but for certain individuals, it's going to cost them something else. So this fourth point will kind of be tied in as well to number one of who should do this. All right, so let's jump in on who should actually use this method before we talk about what the method is, okay? So obviously the people who should be using it are anyone whose main priority right now is to do well in the CrossFit Open. So obviously you're trying to go to the games, trying to go to regionals, goes without saying this is you. Or maybe you've done the Open 2, 3, 4 years and you try to improve your score every time. Or you've been really working hard on your handstand push-ups and your pull-ups and your muscle-ups, and you want to kind of see how you stack up to people in your gym, all that stuff, right? But really it needs to be your main priority over the next 5 weeks for this method really be beneficial to you, because it's not going to be something it's really going to help your body composition for most people, okay? So again, make sure it's your priority. So in the should not category is obviously anyone that really doesn't care that much about their open performance. So maybe you're doing the open workout, but you really didn't even sign up for the open. You're just doing it because your friends are doing it or because your gym is doing it and they're good workouts to get in shape with. Maybe it's your first year, you're not trying to compete with other people too much or kind of whatever, right? If you don't care that much, if getting 5 more reps in the first workout of the CrossFit Open doesn't mean anything to you, it probably isn't worth your time to the added stress to really do this, okay? And the second part is going to be if your current higher priority is fat loss, because this method I will explain to you guys will hinder that a little bit. There's always going to be a trade-off between performance, transient right now performance, and maybe transient fat loss, okay? So I had this conversation with some of my clients this weekend. If you've lost, say, 10 pounds in the past 1 or 2 months, you had really good momentum with your current diet, and fat loss is still a much higher priority than your CrossFit Open score, it may be just a good idea to not do this at all and continue with your regular diet, okay? So again, if fat loss is your higher priority, nothing wrong with that, not everyone cares about the Open, probably not something to do, because again, this is going to take away from that fat loss even a little bit. And for some people, getting off track even a little bit causes them to be off for weeks and months, okay? So if you're doing well, fat loss is your highest priority, I highly recommend not doing this method we're gonna talk about. You've kind of seen where you are on the either if it's worth it or not approach for you. So again, if you've kept watching this video, hopefully it's gonna be worth it to you to make this kind of approach. So here is the standard approach that I think is really good to use if you wanna do, again, a little bit better in the CrossFit Open. So generally, it's just going to be one high carbohydrate day prior to the open workout. That's going to be the simplest way to explain this, okay? One high carb day before you do the workout. There's going to be kind of 3 levels to this, though, so it's a little bit more complicated. Kind of 3 tiers I recommend are either 120%, 135%, or 150% of your normal carbohydrate intake, okay? So for this to really work, you need to have an understanding of what your typical day is. If you have no idea what that is, you could just eat a little bit more carbohydrate foods, but again, precision is helpful here to actually get a good idea of how much you're eating and not just going overboard with too many carbohydrates, okay? So again, where you kind of select which one of these is gonna be kind of dependent upon the first part, right? how important is the open workout for you and what your other priorities are. If you're someone who the priority is fat loss right now, and it's like your second open, and you want to do well, but it's not going to like hurt your feelings if you don't do well, maybe 135 or 120 is ideal, right? If you're someone trying to go to regionals this year, probably do 150% is ideal, because again, you can afford some more additional carbohydrates. If you gain half a pound of fat during the open, but you make regionals, it's obviously worth it, okay? So again, which one you select will be dependent upon how important it is for you to do well in the open. The more important, go higher on the scale. The less important, go lower on the scale, okay? Again, this is going to be true even if the day before you do the open workout is an off day or an active recovery day, which it is for most people, I would assume, who are trying to do well in the open, okay? So I kind of have like a very typical plan, I would say, of someone doing the open, where again, obviously it's Monday through Saturday here, and then the second letter is going to be hard, moderate, off, open, okay? So Monday and Tuesday are typically hard days, maybe normal training days for you. Monday could be a little bit dialed back on the volume, the intensity, whatever, more of a moderate day. Then Thursday could be off or active recovery, okay? Typically for clients that I work with, when they take a full day off or active recovery, they actually have reduced carbohydrates and a little bit higher fat. We do that for a few different reasons, not really part of this video. But again, even if I take this Thursday off completely, I just sit at home in Ramwad, I'm still having my high carb day here, because I need those carbohydrates to really be synthesized and stored for Friday. Maybe if I do the workout super late Friday and I really have a ton of carbohydrates Friday morning, I can still get the same effect, but it's gonna be, I think, a better safe route to just have this high carb day the day before, especially if you do this workout, say, in the morning at noon. Again, it's gonna be really important. These are gonna be the carbs you're using during Friday, okay? So again, typically, this is an example I have of someone who actually did this 135% range. I would say she's very typical, not typical CrossFitter, but maybe a typical person watching this video, okay? So I think it's her second open. She's a good competitor, done some competitions before. She's gonna do pretty well, but she's not going to regionals, okay? But she wants to do well. She's a good competitor. Definitely an RX athlete, tracks her macros, is a good idea of where she's at. But her main priority right now is fat loss. So you don't wanna go too high on this level and stalled out that fat loss. Again, because again, if she gets 700th or 800th in the open, in the region, probably doesn't matter that much to her if she can lose 2 more pounds in this 5 weeks, okay? So these are actually her actual numbers of her, it's about an average of her numbers, because my clients always have ranges of their macronutrients. But again, the middle of this range is gonna be 150 on all of her training days. So she'll do her normal training days here. And then again, Thursday, this is 135% of her typical carbohydrate intake. Works out really well to 200 roughly. And again, Friday we had a normal training day for her, so 150, right? So again, even though this off day, she would have reduced carbohydrates, you're still gonna have this high carb day on Thursday to prepare for this open workout. Then say Saturday she does like active recovery or whatever, that may be, if it's just really, really active recovery, it may be her typical like 110 off day carbohydrates, and then maybe she takes Sunday off completely. That could be 110 again. I think it's about 110 of her off day carbohydrates with some more fat, okay? So again, this is assuming she's only gonna do the workout one time. She just needs one semi-large refeed, high carb day. She wants to do well in the open. She's not going to regionals, but it's important to her. That 135 is a good number to shoot for. All right, so now moving into part 3, we're talking about individuals who plan on repeating the workouts. I'm not gonna go into kind of who should or who shouldn't repeat the workouts. It's totally up to you, but I am gonna give you a scenario of someone who is in that regional, competitive regional spot, right? It's maybe someone between 15th place and 75th place sometime during the open. Like you have a legitimate shot at going to regionals or even on a team. If your team is in 28th place, this may be really helpful for you if you can score for your team in a workout, okay? So same numbers down here, but since this person's goal is to go to regionals, we're gonna do the more aggressive high carb days of 150%, okay? Again, if they gain half a pound of fat, they make it to regionals, it's worth it. Their main priority, their sole focus of the entire year of training is to make it to regionals. So we're going to do everything we can to get that accomplished, okay? But now, obviously, the day or the kind of the week looks a little bit different. So let's just say that Monday, if it's the first week of the Open, obviously you're not going to have a Monday workout. So let's just say that was typically a hard day, and then a hard day, moderate, off. Do the Open on Friday typically, but now this 200 from the 135% is now 225. It's higher because, again, bigger priority for this person to do well in the Open, okay? Then let's say, again, a really typical outline for people who want to redo the workout. Say they did pretty well on Friday, but they think they can do 10 reps better, and they're sitting in like 42nd place in the leaderboard on Sunday. Okay, they think they have a better shot to climb up. So Saturday, maybe active recovery, not just sitting there getting sore. But again, for this specific person, they would have kind of a low carbohydrate day here. Okay, but then they plan on doing the workout on Monday, which I think is really typical. So they take Sunday off, but again, even though we're taking the day completely off, this is gonna be another high carbohydrate day. Okay, so this is gonna fuel Monday's workout. Okay, so they have another 225 here, then they repeat Open 2, normal carbohydrate intake of 150 on Monday. Okay, right? And again, for most people repeating the workouts, they're gonna be in this 150% carbohydrate range, because you're telling yourself, you're telling everybody else it's important to you. If it wasn't that important to you, you wouldn't be doing it again, right? So obviously, if you're competitive, on the leaderboard or just in your group of people, go on the higher intake of stuff, and then again, make sure give yourself enough adequate time to recover. So I think for most people, doing it Friday, Monday is gonna be ideal. All right, so in the last part, we're gonna talk about the pros and cons of doing this method. Talked about them a little bit within the video, but again, kind of summarize here. So obviously the pro is to increase your performance, repetitions, lower time, whatever, in the Open. If you followed me before, about maybe a week and a half ago, you'll see it as like a picture of an actual graph. I talked about a recent study on a 12-minute CrossFit workout in which they gave one group of individuals 3 additional days of high carbohydrates. So they gave like a standard diet, both people same amount of carbohydrates. Then group B had more carbohydrates for 3 days, then retested the workout, and they got on average 9 repetitions better than the first group. They improved by 9 reps more than the first group improved. Okay, I talked about how relevant that is, and then if you're on that regional cusp, this is a huge difference. At least last year it was. In a 13-minute workout, it was like 23 spots for the women, 29 spots for the men, and then North Central region in that workout. So a lot of points to be had with 9 additional reps. Okay, so it is a very real difference in performance, not just something that was seen in a research study. Doesn't have real world performance. Okay, this is also with 3 high carb days. I'm not working with everyone that's seen this video individually, so I can't really recommend as aggressive of an intake that they did in the study. So my own individual athletes will be doing more than just 1 high carbohydrate day to prepare for the Open. If they can at least tolerate that much food, it's gonna be a lot of carbohydrates. But again, I can't give such an aggressive general recommendation. I think what I gave you today, you'll get a little bit better. But again, the more extreme I give a recommendation, for some people that could actually have like an adverse reaction, okay? So yeah, I would recommend if you're not working with me individually, go with 1 high carb day before the Open. And then kind of the only really con of doing this is you're going to decrease your chances or your pace at fat loss. So obviously, anytime you're eating more food throughout the week, you're going to be losing weight at a slower rate. So if your goal is fat loss, like I said, something to really consider if you should do this or not. If your goal is kind of fat loss, but your priority is the Open, again, you have 5 weeks of the year to do the Open. You have 52 weeks of the year to lose weight, right? Or 47 other weeks of the year now to lose weight. So again, if you're kind of on the fence, you want to get a little bit leaner, but the Open's important for you, go with the performance method or high carbohydrates. Again, maybe you don't lose as much weight in that 5 weeks, but you have plenty of time to lose weight. The one caveat I said about that, if fat loss is your priority and you have good momentum, I would stick with that if you don't really care about the Open. So it kind of goes back to the intro. So that's pretty much it, guys. And hopefully you can use this information to do better in the first week of the Open if you watch this early. I will have a lot more videos coming up about specific things you can do with nutrition and training and supplementation as far as how to do better in the CrossFit Open. So again, the first 2 videos are going to be free for everybody. And then after that, after March 1st, it's going to be through MyoBrain Education, which is going to be $12 a month. Again, you can follow that information below as far as how you can sign up for that stuff, okay? So again, thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, just let me know below this or Instagram, or if you're a client, my email. And that's it, guys. Thank you.